What's up, guys? RDA Return is back again with our third set review for Opus 6. This is Earth, so I'm joined by Chris Adams yet again. So we're going to take a look and see if Earth got any better. What do you think about Earth?
Welcome to Earth. I think they're pretty. They got a lot of support in Opus 5. I don't think they got some good cards, but I think the good cards they got don't really do much for the mono Earth archetype. I think the good cards they got really open up some really unique deck ideas and like some multicolored decks. That's really about it, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at the cards. All right, so the first card we got is Ajito Marujito. It's a 5 CP Earth backup. When it enters the field, select one of two. Cast one summon from your hand without paying the cost, or choose two summons in the break zone and put them in your hand.
Again, this kind of shores up what I said. This is the card that I was initially talking about. The fact that you can cheat something into play, it doesn't matter the color, and you do it for free. Or you can choose any two summons and put them into your hand. Yeah, it costs 5, but I think it does two really neat things, and I think this will shine in a deck that really is abusing summons.
Yeah, I think this card could be potentially broken. I don't know if it
Mm-hmm.
is because I don't know if there's enough for it to abuse yet. The
I
the,
agree.
the biggest abuser is Raiden. Obviously, like it's an off-color
Mm-hmm.
9 CP summon that just
Mm-hmm.
blows up two guys that you can now
Yep.
play for 5 potentially and recur it
Yep.
if you have a way to destroy this or whatever. Also, I think another thing that makes her potentially really broken is Star Symbol can search her out.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to get these. So again, if you have a way to like blow them up, probably gonna be pretty good if you can do this multiple
Mm-hmm.
times. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
she's definitely a card to watch out for.
Yep. I agree.
All right, next card we have is Dark Knight. It's a 3 CP 9K, so it's got to be good, right? If it receives damage, the damage is increased by 4,000 instead.
The only redeeming quality of this card is the amazing artwork on it. That's it.
Yeah, I think this card sucks.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty butt.
honestly, most Dark Knights are pretty bad. There's been one that I think was kind of playable, but most are
Yeah,
pretty bad.
his name is Cecil. Cecil's the only Dark Knight worth a damn in
I,
this game.
yeah, I've been like named Dark Knight, but yeah, I mean they're not very great.
Oh
Next
no.
up, we got Warrior of Light. He is in fact a Warrior of Light. He's a 6 CP
Mm-hmm.
7K. When he
Mm-hmm.
enters the field, choose one standard unit, cost 2 or less in your break zone, play it onto the field. It does not specify forwards. When a job standard unit enters the field, Warrior of Light gains plus 2,000 power until end of turn. And then he has an S, which is S to Earth till end of turn. All forwards you control gain plus 3,000 power and Brave.
I think he's fine. I think he's a build around card, and I think he does, promote multicolors because I mean there are standard units in every element in this game. So I think a deck around him could be neat, but obviously you're not going to be playing him in like a Warrior of Light deck because there's other Warriors of Light that are just exponentially better there. Though what does suck is there already is a Warrior of Light that really makes standard units great, and I think that one's just better than this one. But I think this one makes a neat, fun kind of multicolor build you could play around with.
Yeah, I think this guy does a lot, and everything that he does is good. Um,
Yeah,
so
sure.
so I'm thinking maybe it might work. I don't know yet. But I mean, his S is actually really good. I mean,
Yeah,
for
I agree.
two Earth and S, everything gets 3,000 power and Brave. You can just swing and not care.
Hmm.
Seems good. The fact that his two abilities don't specify that it has to be a forward, so any standard unit backup comes into play, it's gonna buff
Yeah.
him. And he can get a backup into play when you play him. So you could like maybe play him on 4 backups or whatever, and get your
Hmm.
fifth backup essentially for free, kinda.
Yeah.
But I mean, you are paying 6 for this guy, so and he's a 7K. But when you play that standard unit, he's a 9K that turn. So
Exactly. So he's got some really neat stuff. I think he's going to be a neat build around card.
yeah, I want to see what people do with him because I actually think he's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up, we got Epitaph. I think that's how you
Hmm.
say it. I don't know. He's a 3 CP backup. When he enters the field, search for category Crystal Chronicles forward, add it to your hand.
Yeah, he's a category searcher. Not really much from Crystal Chronicles. That revs my engine thus far. Obviously, we'll talk about probably the better one. So I don't know. I think he's fine in a deck. Obviously, he's fine in a deck where you're playing these cards. So
Yeah, I mean, he's a category tutor, so I mean,
exactly.
it's not terrible. I just don't
Hmm.
think he has enough right now, even with like some other cards that we'll talk about later.
Hmm.
Next up, we got Scholar. It's a 2 CP backup for 2 Earth tap break. Choose an Earth summon in your break zone, add it to your hand.
I wish the Ice Summoner was worded like this one because I think this one's better than that.
Yep, I agree, 100%. I think this is what the Ice Summoner should have said, basically.
Yep. I think that could have been there should have been a cycle of cards in each element like this.
However, I'm okay with Ice not getting this. Again,
Well, sure.
I'm fine with it. I think this is pretty solid. It's a 2 CP backup that does something pretty good, so, can't be bad.
Yep, I agree.
Next up, we got Machinist. It's a 2 CP backup standard unit for 2 Earth, 1 colorless tap break. Choose one forward, power 5,000 or less, break it.
I mean, it's a 2 CP backup. I think its ability is a little expensive, but I could see this in like a Water Earth deck where like you Bismarck something and then you pop it with this. But I mean, you're paying 5 potentially. Well, you could potentially be paying 4 CP for it if you have Yuna out. So maybe, but I don't think it's that great.
Yeah, I think it's too expensive, even though it does cost 2. The 2 CP does keep it like within reason, I guess, but it's still I think it's too expensive for what it does.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we got Gigas. He's a 4 CP monster for 0 until end of turn. Gigas becomes a forward 9K. When it attacks, it doesn't activate during your next active phase. Use this ability only once per turn.
Barf. I just don't think there's much happening here. You're probably not going to play this guy. Yeah, he's a 4 CP 9K, but you're not attacking with him. You're just going to maybe block with him. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think he's that great either.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to see much play at all, sadly. He's really just a blocker. I maybe would have liked to have seen this guy cost 3.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
Next up, we got Kryl. She's a 2 CP backup for 1 Earth, 1 colorless. Choose a 4G control. Oh, and tap. Choose a 4G control. During this turn, it cannot be returned to its owner's hand by summons or abilities.
I think the best thing about her is she's a scion of the Seventh Dawn,
Yep.
which I think is what makes her super relevant. And maybe I think she's good because she's a scion. I think her ability is a very matchup dependent ability. So I don't think she's bad. You're clearly playing her in a scion deck.
Yeah, so now you got 4 different scion backups. 5 if you count one we're going to talk about, but that shares the name with one that already exists. So.
Yep.
But and actually, is she a scion? I don't know. We'll get to it in a second. But yeah, I think this is good, and I really think scions are going to be pretty good. We'll see though.
I agree.
So I think she's super playable. Next up, we got Kate Sith, Final Fantasy 14. 2 Earth tap, put her in the break zone. Choose one summon, choosing a 4G control cancels effect, and it's a 2 CP backup.
I think he's fine. He's just kind of a bit of spot protection. He's very similar to a card in Magic that's playable in Standard right now called Blossoming Defense. He just kind of, instead of giving a guy hexproof, instead he's just kind of canceling the ability that's targeting or the summon that's targeting it. So I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think this is just a better carbuncle, honestly. Yeah. I think it's just better on a backup. I actually think this will see some play. It just depends on matchups and such.
Absolutely.
Next up, we got another 1 CP evoker. So
Let me get my church bell out so I can ring in the cries of rotation or just a better draft set.
Yeah. So after that one, we got Cactuar. It's a 4 CP summon. Choose one forward, deal it 4,000 damage for each CP of a different element that you spent on Cactuar.
I think it's fine. Again, this goes back to what I was saying at the top of this. We're looking at another Earth card that promotes multicolor. I think this thing is going to be pretty insane and sealed because you're going to be playing a bunch of different colors anyway. But in constructed, I think there are some uses there, and maybe tricolor monsters or anything you're looking at least 2 colors. But I don't know.
So the more I think about this card, the worse I think it is. I wish it was 3 CP for 3K.
Sure.
Per. Because I don't know. Because you have to spend 3 colors for this to be good, honestly. Sure. And, I mean, while that's not hard to do, you're still spending 4 CP total on the summon to remove something. And there's just better 4 CP summons. And
I agree.
And, again, the more I think about it, I think I'd rather just keep running a Tamos just to have the threat of the EX Burst.
For sure.
So, next card is Titan. It's a 5 CP EX Burst summon. Choose one forward you control and one forward opponent controls. The former gains 2,000 power until end of turn, and then the former deals damage equal to its power to the latter.
I will say this is the most vascular card I have seen in Final Fantasy. This guy is super veiny. I like this card. I think it's fine. I think this is probably one of the probably the best card for Mono Earth. Um, I just I like the card. I think it has a home in Mono Earth. I just don't know where. I don't know what you're replacing. Maybe like Atmos, but I think it's strictly worse in the early game. But I think coming down the home stretch of a game, this thing can just close out a game.
Yeah. So again, I think it's worse than Atomos coming off the top early game,
Mm-hmm.
but it is better than Atomos in some areas. The fact that you would actually don't mind hard casting this maybe, but the problem is Hecaton Chair exists and that's way cheaper than this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of hurts it. I would probably still rather run Atomos just because Atomos is there to deal with the early game if it comes off the top, and if it doesn't come off the top, you're just pitching it for mana.
Absolutely.
And this is just worse at doing that for the most part.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's fine. I think it has a home. It's just a matter of when and where and numbers, you know.
Yep. So next up we got Pavlov. It's a 2 CP Earth backup. Choose one. Crystal Chronicles forward. It gains plus 1,000 power until the turn.
It's an Ondor for Crystal Chronicles instead of 12. It's fine in title. That's probably about it.
I don't even think you can run Crystal Chronicles in title yet, can you?
Probably not. I just don't think there's enough. But I think that's really all you're going to see it for. This is a classic, just filler common. But I'll be damned if it isn't the cutest artwork I've ever seen.
His job is Penguin.
He is a pin, that's for sure.
So next up we got old Hugh Yerg.
Hugh.
Uh,
Hugh
he's,
Honey himself.
so he's a 5 CP 7K EX burst. When he enters the field, you can search for one job warrior, add it to your hand. If you control a card named Leo, he gains plus 1,000 power and brave.
Well, he checks a couple boxes. He is a warrior, so maybe he would play well with Ward. He can search for Ward. Um, so maybe, and the fact that he searches Leo, which we'll talk about later, could create some kind of multicolor warrior
Well,
deck.
he doesn't search Leo.
No, I'm saying no, if you have Leo. I'm saying if you
Oh,
have
okay.
Leo,
Yeah.
he can play, but he can search out Ward though. Which, if you search out Ward, he can make Hugh a 9K.
Yep.
So again, this is kind of going back to I think Earth in this set is really I think Earth is like the backbone of all of these crazy multicolor just jank decks that I think people are going to be playing with.
Yeah, I don't think the warrior deck's going to be an archetype, and I think the decks that Leo's going to be in, I don't want to run this card. So
No, absolutely.
I don't think he's going to see much play. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he's going to see much play.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we got Mott, the 6 CP forward 8K. The job Monk forwards and card name Monk forwards you control cannot become dull by your opponent's summons and abilities. When he enters the field, you may search for one job Monk or card name Monk and add it to your hand.
So I love the very simple like all American names there. We had Hugh and now we've got Matt. Like feel like we're just going down the lines of like a boy band or something. But I like this card, and I think it's because he creates a nice little budgety build. I'm all about like budget tribal builds too, and I think this guy and like the Monk Yang, there could be something fun here as like a nice little casual deck.
Yeah, it's cool that he can search backups. I think that's really the thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Because Monk backup is pretty good.
Yeah, both. There's a couple of them that are actually really solid.
Yeah, and then Yang, Ursula, the 4 CP and the 2 CP are both monks. I think that's the deck that this will be played in, and I don't think that that deck's going to be that great. So
No, like I said, I think it's like a budget. This is straight up like a budget fun. Here's my Mono Worth Monk deck that I'm gonna show people how to play the game with. Here, let's do monks versus dragoons for shits and giggles. That kind of deck.
yeah, I guess if you're like losing to Mono Ice and they're dulling all your stuff, you can just jam this guy with a bunch of monks.
Yeah,
Probably pretty decent, but I don't think he's going to see much play.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we got Minfilia. She's a 6 CP backup, also a Scion. When she enters the field, choose 2 characters in your break zone, add them to your hand. For 2 Earth, 1 colorless, tap, break. Choose 1 light character or dark character and break it.
Absolutely love the artwork on the card. She's a Scion. I do think the other version of Minfilia is better for that deck. I don't really know what's happening with this card. I think Minor kind of does what she's doing better. Now, the thing about her ability, yes, she can break a light or dark character. What's neat there is she can do backups, but I feel like the one dark character you might want to break, she can't even do it because of what that dark character does. So I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at this card in a very narrow way. But I think, in a Scion deck, I think the other Minfilia is strictly better.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe late game this could be good at recurring some things. Like
Mm-hmm.
you get you two things back, whereas like minor only gets you one.
Uh-huh.
Minor feels a lot better to play early game though,
Mm-hmm.
because you can play minor, get a backup back, and essentially pay two for them, and you're not revealing too much of your hand. You really
Right.
like you can play this for the same value as minor, but you're revealing
Uh-huh.
so much more,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get to like later do something as relevant as what minor does.
Exactly.
So I feel like she's a late game backup that could potentially get you more walls, more Dotalumas and things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's a one of, and she can also break your opponents like Cosmos or Chaos, which can potentially cause like a domino effect.
Right. And I think that's where she's really going to shine because, I mean, obviously you're going to look to want to break Cam or Emperor, but if Cam's sitting across from yellow cards, he's probably going to name Earth.
Well,
And if Emperor's across the table, you're not breaking him.
yeah. Also, like if she's out before Cam is out, kind of can't play Cam,
Yeah.
because she'll just kill it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe
Because
you
I'll
do.
spend the three to break it. If
Yeah,
they drop a Cam, I'll 100% spend the three to break it.
yeah. So I mean, I think she's pretty good. I think she'll see some play. I think people will try to play her. But yeah, in the Scion deck, the other one's just better.
Yeah.
So next up, we got Mu Shushu, the
Wushu.
2 CP Earth monster for 1 Earth, 1 colorless break. Use a dull forward break.
Um, I don't know. I think there is some play here with like a deck with like Realm. Realm can animate it, it can attack, and then you can break it and kill something. I think I know we've talked about this before when it was spoiled, and I know the Choker Bros did the same thing. I think it's fine. I just don't know where it's going to see play.
Yeah, I think this might be the best of the 2 CP monsters like,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of fit this theme. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's only like 3 of them, but I think this is probably the best one. That's not really saying much.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think that this is really going to find a home in a lot of decks, but maybe.
Sure. No, I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment 100%.
Next backup we got is Moogle Brothers. It's a 3 CP backup. It's
Mm-hmm.
a Moogle. When it enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 Job Moogle among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck. For a tap break, play 1 Job Moogle, cost 2 or less, from your hand onto the field.
And here's that theme again. This and like this and Mog Mobius might actually be the only Moogles that aren't in like fire, wind. I mean, there's Moogles in every color, right? And this card is one that we have an Earth card that's promoting cross color play or cross element play. Um, I think a Moogle deck can be very, very real. I think giving Sarah more cards to play, um, and then letting cards like Hurdy that let you draw cards based on the number of Moogles you have, or like Gertie that let you ready forwards based on the number of Moogles you have. I think there's something neat there, but again, I think some of these wacky multicolor decks are going to take a lot of time to fine tune. But that's kind of I've told you all that to tell you this. I think that's kind of another. This is another card that fits that bill.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be okay. All the Moogles right now that are 2 or less are all backups. So really, you're just
Yeah.
breaking this to play a backup that costs less that maybe you just found off the top.
Right.
Maybe some form of Earth Wind with Moogles is okay, but I think you want to
Mm-hmm.
be playing Sarah, so I feel like it's probably gonna have to be Earth Ice.
Mm-hmm.
And it might end up being like maybe this is good in some 3 color Moogle deck. I don't know, but it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. It's definitely an interesting card.
Sure.
That does promote you to play outside of Earth, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we got Monk. It's a 3 CP forward, 7K, tap, break, choose a dull forward, deal at 7,000.
Just a generic monk. I think this is fine in the old Matt's monk deck.
Yeah, I think this is kind of bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's a common. It's a standard unit that's probably not doing much.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think this is going to see play in standard at all. I think it's just bad card, honestly.
Nope.
Next up, we got Yastola. She's a 4 CP, 8K forward, Scion. She's Earth, so she finally has an on-color version.
Mm-hmm.
Solo can't be broken by summons or abilities that don't deal damage, so Vincent. If you control
Mm-hmm.
3 or more Job Scions, other than Yastola, she gains Brave, and if you control, or my bad, choose one forward when she attacks. If you control 5 or more Scions, deal it 8,000 damage.
I think this card's fantastic. I think this is the reason that Scions are now going to be a very, very real deck. Y'shtola's every version of Y'shtola has been good, but now we've got one that's on the colors for that particular build, and this one has the potential to just straight 3-for-1 aboard, right? Because you're gonna have 5 Scions, so she's gonna deal 8K to something. She could Hecaton chair something, or she could 5-drop Titan something, and then maybe that turn you play, or maybe you play a Raubon in main too. Like there's so much that she can do. I think she's a very, very scary card.
Yeah, I think, and again, she's very limited because she's only really going to be good in this one archetype. But I
Mm-hmm.
really do feel like that archetype's going to be pretty good,
I
and
agree.
and she's probably going to have haste, so
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to be playing Alice, and I think this with Ida is going to be pretty scary.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
So next up we got Leo. He's a 1 CP forward, 1K. But for each character other than Leo you control, Leo gains 1,000 power, and backups you control can produce CP of any element.
I think this card is very, very neat. I love the artwork on it. There's my man Pin again. Um, I feel like this card is going to be the backbone in a lot of really unique deck building because he's a 1-drop that can just get out of control huge. The fact that he's color fixing just in its best form, and I don't know, like I can't wait to see the kind of decks that come off of this card.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this card just because I think it opens a lot of doors.
Big time.
I have seen a lot of people say that they think this card might not really do too much out the gate just because. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are just gonna go back to playing monocolors, right? I mean, that's generally what the new meta is gonna do,
Sure.
and so you don't really want to experiment too much. And this guy is definitely an experimental card, but I like the things that he's doing, and I think that there are some decks where he's gonna work really well in,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm actually really interested in playing this card.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a fantastic card, and I think again, like overall, the theme of Earth in this set has been just let's make some unique builds. Let's get a bunch of colors involved. It's just really, really neat.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about this set, and this was the last Earth card, is that it
Mm-hmm.
feels like a lot of they're trying to take a lot of things in different directions, which is cool to
Mm-hmm.
promote different types of decks that don't
Mm-hmm.
exist now, which is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, they're really trying to, just kind of break the status quo. Again, like I think the most playable archetype coming out of this new set is probably going to be Scions, just because all of these cards are good. And I think Y'shtola like that when that card hits the board, like that card's a problem.
Yep,
Like
for sure.
because the turn she's coming out, she's swinging because she's going to have haste because of one of the lightning backups. I forget which one that gives the. Is it Alice that gives them haste?
Yeah, Alice gives them haste, and it's
Yeah, Ali.
cheaper when you have
So
Alpha.
yeah, so she's going to hit the board with haste. You're probably going to have the 3 Scions, so she's going to have Brave, and more than likely when you play her, you're going to have 5 other Scions. So she's coming in, and like the turn she comes in, she's just doing work. And I think I think I actually might want to look into building that archetype. I think there's some neat stuff happening there for sure.
Yeah, so that's all the Earth cards for now. I believe the next element we're going to be showing is Lightning, I think. So, yeah, look out for that video. Should be good. So, talk to you guys later. See ya.
Toodles.